All right, we are back. This is your boy Triple D, and we're talking about us versus life. If you listen to my first video, you have an idea of what we're going to be talking about here. Basically, we're talking about life, which includes everything involved in life. Yeah, it took me a while to get back, and that's okay. Quite honestly, I hadn't been feeling like recording. That's not a reason to not record, but if you're going to be genuine, you should probably record. This is to the creators out there when you feel like it. So maybe that energy will come across in the recording. And when you don't feel like it and you record, maybe that energy will come across in the recording as well. Whether that's you doing the videos or recording just your voice like I'm doing now, which I don't plan to always do. But just for right now, no time on it. This is just the way I'm doing it. It's not like I got a lot of subscribers anyway, right? Ain't nobody listening anyway, really. So no, that's fine. Like I said, that's not the point of this. You know, uh, that that kind of is the point of this, though, because it's like a lot of us maybe like have thought, hey man, what am I doing in my life? And if you haven't thought that, man, props to you. Or I don't mean man as only men, I mean man or woman, not to be politically correct, but just being correct. A lot of things we're conditioned to say that, it just happens, but it's not the way it comes out. So anybody, I do think that finding your purpose is legitimate. Like I've heard people say, find your purpose, you know, and all these things. I know to those of us that may be struggling, we go find my purpose. I'm just trying to get by. Maybe I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. But I can see how someone may say, find my purpose. Come on, man. And I hate that, to be honest with you. And I say hate. I shouldn't say that because I don't like using that word. Because I don't really hate a whole lot. I don't hate anything, to be honest with you. That's just the way I am. Yeah, but finding your purpose, though. I mean, look, if we're here, we might as well do something, right? And maybe for some people, that's like, hey, well, my something is I want to, be rich, or I want to have X, Y, Z. I don't know if that's going to have the longevity that we need to truly get to happiness, because it seems like once you get things like that, eventually you get used to them and then it gets old. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong. And if anybody's wondering, let me be clear, I'm not rich or anything like that. So maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, or maybe I do. But what I would tell you is that what I do is I try to just learn from other people, and that's the good thing about that. That's free, especially these days, you can kind of learn from almost anybody. Everybody's putting out information. It could be, some of it could be fake or whatever. Some people could just be saying the one thing and secretly, maybe not secretly, but really, truly, that's not who they are or what they feel. I don't know. But I feel like the great thing about this social media age is that most people that in older times, in times in the past, if you're a little older than maybe some of the younger people, you never really got to hear that from people. You know what I mean? Shoot. And you just got to be old enough to understand that difference. Younger people may hear that and go, that doesn't mean a whole lot. But trust me, there was a time where people were more separated. And as you go back further and further in time, people were more and more separated. There was a time where if you lived in a certain um, area, and that's still happening to this day, unfortunately. and that's a whole nother conversation. But there's a lot of people that couldn't travel. Back then you just didn't have, and I'm talking about old days, starting at the beginning, right? Because I like to try to talk about it with an entire perspective when I'm talking about things, hopefully as best I can, so that you understand that, you get that perspective, hopefully, because if your perspective is that, oh, yeah, I remember when we didn't have Instagram or Twitter and we only had like MySpace. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like, remember when people didn't have horses and carriages, that kind of thing. Like, how would you get from where you are to 50 miles away? So you were really locked into your immediate vicinity. Maybe walking, if you were adventurous, maybe for those people, it'd be like, man, you walked 30 miles, what you see, Just think about that, right? If you want, just suggest that people do to get perspective. But anyway, what I want to talk to you guys about today specifically, right? Because in my very first video, I kind of started at the beginning and I talked about some things. I gave a general synopsis of what this channel is about. And now I want to just kind of pick it up from there. I know it's months later, whatever. Let's just keep it general and we'll get specific. Trust me, we can. If you want to listen to this, you'll see. We'll get specific. But let's keep it general. When we talk about happiness, I really think what we need to do is define that for each of us. I need to define it. You need to define it for yourselves individually, not what someone else told you. Because perhaps it's a different answer for a lot of people. And maybe it's a different answer for everybody. Maybe. See, because once you do that, you can establish a goal. Because I think maybe most people, the goal is to be happy, right? Not sad, maybe? I don't know. You tell me. Put it in the comments. I'm going to try to make this video where people can comment, hopefully. If not, then just think about it and, do your thing from there. But yeah, us versus life. So in this episode of Us versus Life, and we talk about we fight for happiness each day. I think, again, you guys tell me what you think. In your opinion, or your truth, whatever, how you want to describe it. I don't like to play word semantics. How would you define happiness? And have you thought about it that way? And are you approaching life that way and trying to work towards achieving what you've defined as happiness? Or are you just living just like, I got so much going on, I don't even think about getting to the goal of being, happy or whatever. I'm just taking it day by day. All of these things, certainly, I understand. Maybe some other people wouldn't, but I totally get it. But for me, I think about happiness, and again, I do think it varies. So you know what? I don't want to say I hate, but it concerns me again. I don't like to say hate. It concerns me at times when I hear people be like, it's like it's got to be this way or the other, or else it's wrong. I think we need to be open for different interpretations. And with that, what I'm talking about is like if someone says, look, I could be happy with just having, food, water, and shelter of any sort, then believe them. If they're not telling the truth, then fine. But let people, I'm just going to keep things simple, man. I'm not trying to talk about things in a certain way. I'm keeping it real. Like I said in the first video, go back and listen to it. Should this turn into a situation where people are listening, go back and listen to it. You'll hear me say it. I'm just keeping it real and raw, like raw, man. I'm not going to edit anything really unless I really have to. And I'm not going to try to use any certain language, even though, I'm going to be myself, which at times I may speak a certain way, but I'm just being genuinely who I am. And so if a person's being genuinely who they are, man, we got to stop, man. I think, my opinion. Again, I'm not telling anybody what to do because I see how people push back on that, and that's fine. I got no problem standing up against people pushing back because there is a certain degree of what's right and what's wrong, and there's levels in between that. As I talked about in that first video, people need to understand the levels. Doesn't mean you're all the way wrong. Doesn't mean you're all the way right. Okay, I think this is where we get into trouble. But just be open to what the other person is saying. I think that's what we call communication, what we should call it, communication. That is. So, yeah, man, being open to it, hearing the other person out, no matter if you agree with it or not, and then they should be open to listen to what you're saying, right? That's communication. It's a back and forth. It's not a one-way thing. Like, I'm totally right and you're totally wrong, even though that may be the case at times. Just hear people out, man, because you never know what the individual person, is thinking or trying to relate. Because again, they didn't ask to have the life that they have. They're just expressing their reality. And we got to respect that, man, more. I think we really got to start respecting that. So, yeah, so it comes to happiness, I know for me, part of why I started this channel and I posted some things and done some things is it'd be funny if, is at some point, excuse me, at some point later, people start to actually notice me, or not necessarily me, I don't care about that, but what I'm trying to do, and then they look back at it and be like, man, look what he said, or look what, was trying to be said there. You know, it, it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with me. It really has mostly to do with us. That's why this is us versus life. Because for me, and here's the point to bring it back to anybody that thinks I'm just rambling. That's the us versus life. Because I, I don't know. Maybe somebody out there would tell me, look, if I'm good, if I got all the money I want, if I got the family or the job or whatever they would say to make them happy, if it's all to the individual, if it's all pointed towards just that person and they say that makes them happy, then that's great. But me, I'm just like, that wouldn't make me happy, man. I couldn't be happy just enjoying my life while watching others suffer. And it don't have to be suffer, right? It could just be less. So, in a way, it's like I gotta find a way to enjoy life. I think, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not encouraging anybody not to do that because I think that's unfair to an individual. But it's just like, man, how could you just really truly rock out if you're just seeing other people suffering? I don't. That's just not how I'm thinking about it. So for me, again, this is my individual definition. My individual definition of happiness would be is when I'm making other people happy. Because when I get to a certain point and I think I'm there in life, I mean, what else do I really need? I mean, honestly. I mean, if I'm being real honest, food, water, shelter, and I'm being very basic about it, and I'm not being like, facetious. If I have those things, right, then everything else is just extra. But if I get all of the extras, but I'm not helping anybody else, then what happens when all my extras become normal? Then what would be the next thing that I would get that would make me say, oh, that fulfills me? Because I mean, like, how much stuff can we have materialistically, right? I mean, that's how I'm looking at it. Again, this is just my opinion. I want you all to tell me what you think. And I'm just like, that's how I'm just, projecting to the future, right? And I'm just like, at some point, for me, it's got to be about helping someone else get to a point to where they feel like I've got enough so they can help someone else. Some people call that like paying it forward and all these buzzwords. I don't have to use words like that because it's not fake for me. This is 100% legit. But what else is this life about other than each one of us helping each one of us try to be happy? I mean, what the hell else are we doing on this earth if we're not trying to do that? I don't know. I think maybe a lot of people say I got a lot of answers to that. That's fine. I bet some people do. But I think some people may understand what I'm saying. You know, it's just like we're here together because I feel like this, like let me put it this way. If I go out to a place where there's a bunch of strangers, people I don't know, and all those people are unhappy. Okay, okay. I don't like to get into extremes. So let me not put it extreme. But if I go to a place and there's one person unhappy, that one unhappy person, oh, wait, I gotta go.